index funds. I think this is a fiat problem that we have. You can't save in sound money because the money's being depreciated every year by the money printing. So people are then forced to diversify, right? This is gospel on Wall Street. And the culmination of that diversification are these index funds. But there's a problem, right, with these things, that you're just putting money into the things that are already the biggest, and then therefore they become bigger. And so you get this kind of winner take all dynamic, or distortion of market caps among these large companies. What is your view on index funds, and how are they problematic?
This is like base layer to the Blackrock conspiracies and to the whole purpose of Blackrock, Vanguard, and State Street, the way I see it. Because sort of the layman conspiracy about Blackrock is that they own all these companies because they're the top shareholder. And the obvious debunk that all the financial experts give is like, no, they don't own all those shares because they're managing our money, our retirement money through these index funds and mutual funds and exchange traded funds. Yeah. And that's true. And if you look up, just do a quick Google search, how much is the total American retirement money worth? It's trillions of dollars. I think it's like $40 trillion worth, which is including like all the 1%ers and up. It's including their retirement funds, but still, we're talking a massive amount of American citizens' capital. And that should be representing our interests in the market, right? Because capitalism is inherently democratic, but you buy your votes by buying shares. And the more shares you hold in a company, the more of a say you have. And everyone that runs that company has a fiduciary duty to their shareholders, which is a legal duty to do what is in your best interest, not theirs as executives. And so the system is set up to be pretty cool, honestly. Like, that's a cool system. In that, it incentivizes us to invest in what we think will do well, and for them to do well and then invest in what is in our best interest as their investors. And that should work great. And obviously, greed is going to greed. And we have wound up with these fund managers introducing these various types of funds that they can sell to us on these premises of safer investing. We'll handle your money for you, so it's distributed, so you won't be vulnerable to market crashes. You won't mess your own stuff. Like, great selling points that are valid points. But what they don't talk about, and what these debunks of the Blackrock kind of conspiracy theory don't talk about, is that they're managing our money, and it's still our money. And like, that's great. Technically, that is kind of our ownership that they're representing. And they don't technically own Procter & Gamble. But all of the shares that they're buying with our money all represent votes. And it's a super easy Google search that anyone can do right now. You can do it for index funds, mutual funds, and exchange traded funds. In an index fund, who manages the share voting rights? And the answer is not you. The manager of the fund is generally in charge of managing the share voting rights, and only in some funds, and only if you explicitly go through the filling out of special forms, submission of these special forms, can you request to manage your own voting rights. And then you're stuck with managing, like, you have one share of the SPY. Now you have to decide how to vote, 1/500th of 1/503rd of a share of 503 different companies, like, so to speak. It's like the job of managing all those voting rights is monumental if you're going to be diversified in that way. And so no one's doing it, and they're just doing it for us. And when they're managing all of our voting rights of all $40 trillion of our retirement capital, plus all the other capital we're throwing into these ETFs just for fun, that is, like, basically, when you look at the share ownership sheets of all of the corporations in America and you see BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street at the top, almost all of that percentage of ownership, which is like 30% of the total market value almost, all of that is representing our money and what would be our voting power. But because they are managing the voting power, they have usurped our right to lead the direction of our capitalistic system. And that is deeply insidious. And it's so smart. It's so smart that I can't help but wonder if it's intentional. And I don't know if it is. It's like, it's the same outcome either way, because BlackRock, who's the top owners of them? well, it's Vanguard and JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. I'm kind of like presuming which ones it is, but it's definitely all the financial institutions. And all those financial institutions' top shareholders are each other. And so actually the people that are running all of this voting power, I mean, technically it's like the fund managers that they're hiring, but they're all beholden to some, you know, any number of these bankers that we're not really sure who they are. They're the ones that are deciding who's voting all these shares. And you know that whoever's voting all those shares is just trying to please their boss to get ahead in life and get one slightly bigger mansion in downtown New York so they can get more girls or whatever it is that's motivating them. So the concept of capitalism, which is inherently democratic and decentralized and pretty wonderful in its, you know, ideal form, this is a major power structure of how they have severed the democratic part of it and taken all of our collective power away from us. And actually that flips the legality of the fiduciary duty of the CEO of Pfizer, the CEO of Home Depot, the CEO of all those companies. Their fiduciary duty is no longer to you and me. It is to the person voting the shares. So they are now beholden to BlackRock, and their legal responsibility is to do is whatever is in BlackRock's best interest. And when the food company, General Mills, that's selling you the cereal full of poison has the fiduciary duty to the same guy as the Pfizer company that is selling you the solution to the poison, suddenly you start to see a obvious conflict of interest in that what is in all of their best interest, the banker's best interest, is for them to create a problem and them to create a solution in many different arenas and for them all to reap the rewards of us being beholden to them, despite it all being our money.
Wow, that is such a brilliant elaboration of the corruption of money in a way that, the capitalism, as you said, in its ideal form, this beautiful, decentralized, democratic process. But again, when you break the money and then people have to diversify, you can't just have savings. You need to be in all these different companies, that you get this opportunity to re-centralize the voting component of capitalism, and then that just distorts the whole game and gets people selling you these problem solution flywheels. And that explains, that's like incentive traps all around, basically.
And you notice that they have sort of trained us to invest safely. So the people that are teaching us how to invest are the people that went to school to teach us how to invest. They're the investment managers that, like, when you get your retirement account,
60-40, baby.
Right? And they're saying you got to invest safe, invest with an index fund, a mutual fund. It'll keep us safe. Like, they're telling us that line, which is basically give us all your money and rights. And they were told that line by their financial education, and their financial education was funded by all the financial institutions. So there's just these layers of money buying the system that's going to tell us how to give our money back to them. And it's just unreal how many layers of corruption have obfuscated the truth and then created a narrative that gets us all tricked into perpetuating the system that was doing the things in the first place.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.